The Grunt. The Grunt is the most common enemy in the Dark Descent. Officially, these creatures are known as servants. They're deformed humanoids with exposed muscle tissue, twisted limbs, and partially destroyed facial features. Their movements are jerky and unnatural, and their distorted breathing and groaning makes them sound painfully human. Servants were once human beings captured by Alexander of Brennenburg. Through a combination of torture, alchemical procedures, and exposure to Vitae-related experimentation, they were transformed into obedient monsters. One documented case involves Sir Willem and his men, who were drugged with wine and later subjected to Alexander's experimentations. However, they were not the only victims. Multiple individuals were turned into servants as part of Alexander's efforts to harvest Vitae, a substance extracted through intense suffering and agony, not merely fear. The Grunts are essentially broken humans repurposed into tools. They patrol hallways and rooms throughout the castle. If they detect you through sight, sound, or proximity, they will pursue relentlessly. Darkness helps conceal you, but it does not make you invisible. Noise and line of sight still matter. You have no weapons. Survival depends entirely on stealth, evasion, and environmental awareness. The Grunt established the series' core philosophy: total helplessness. Its distorted posture and wet, labored breathing blur the line between monster and victim. Knowing these were once people adds a layer of tragic horror to every encounter. The Brute. The Brute is a larger, more physically imposing variant of the Servant. Its face appears split and heavily mutilated, with exposed teeth and a single prominent eye. Metal components are embedded into its body, including a large blade fused into its forearm. Like the Grunts, Brutes were once human subjects of Alexander's experiments. While the game does not detail a specific individual's transformation into a Brute, they are clearly products of the same alchemical and torture-based process that created the other servants. They are not a separate species or unexplained anomaly, just a more extreme outcome of the same horrific system. Brutes appear less frequently, but are more intimidating in confined spaces. They can break down doors and obstacles, and will chase the player relentlessly once alerted. Despite feeling more aggressive, their base movement speed is comparable to the Grunt. The increased danger comes from encounter design and environmental pressure rather than superior mobility. The Brute represents escalation. When you think you understand the threat level of the castle, the Brute raises the stakes. Its heavy footsteps and labored breathing create a sense of mass and suffering, like something alive but irreparably damaged. The Suitors. The Suitors are three unique antagonists: Alois Racine, Basile Giraud, and Maio Divini. They are mutilated humanoid figures bound with restraints and fitted with mechanical devices around their necks that restrict breathing. Their bodies are scarred, chained, and marked with carved symbols. They appear eyeless, though they still track the player through sound and proximity rather than vision. Each expresses a distinct personality through dialogue. Alois still professes love. Basile expresses hatred. Maio descends into cannibalistic madness. It remains ambiguous whether these voices are spoken aloud or perceived through Justine's unstable perspective. The Suitors were once real men who sought Justine Florbel's affection. Justine, a sadistic aristocrat, subjected them to prolonged psychological and physical torture. Unlike the servants in the Dark Descent, the game does not explicitly confirm supernatural alchemical transformation. Their monstrous state may be the result of extreme mutilation and mental collapse, rather than mystical mutilation. They pursue the player persistently through interconnected chambers. Encounters are tense and unforgiving, especially because Justine features permadeath. Failure means starting over. The horror here is psychological. These were men who loved or desired Justine, and she reduced them to broken instruments of her cruelty. The lack of a sanity meter and the permanent consequences of death amplified the tension. The Ghouls. Ghouls are feral, emaciated humanoids encountered in the ruins and otherworld environments of Rebirth. Their limbs are elongated, their movements jerky and unnatural, and their faces hollow and distorted. They are not the same as harvesters, though the two are related within the broader alchemical lore. Ghouls are humans who have undergone uncontrolled transformation due to exposure to vitae-related substances and supernatural corruption. In contrast, harvesters were deliberately created by the Empire's alchemists as controlled servants. Ghouls appear to be more devolved and unstable results of similar transformative forces. Some ghouls are implied to have once been members of Tassi's expedition, while others originate from victims across different eras. They patrol ruins and alien structures, responding to light, sound, and player movement. Using matches or lantern light can increase your visibility and risk detection. Unlike earlier games, many encounters occur in open, vertical spaces, reducing reliance on simple closet-hiding strategies. Ghouls embody loss of identity. In Rebirth, Tassi herself risks transformation, making the threat deeply personal. The jerky, unnatural motion of these creatures reinforces the idea of a body no longer fully under human control. The Wraith. Wraiths are floating, ethereal entities encountered in the otherworld. They appear humanoid but distorted, with robes fused into their form and a glowing Ankari stone embedded within them. Unlike physical enemies, Wraiths manipulate space and movement, rather than relying on direct pursuit. Wraiths are corrupted remnants of the Empire's alchemists. Following the collapse of the Great Gate and the destabilizing influence associated with the Shadow, these beings were transformed into unstable, semi-ethereal entities bound to their Ankari stones. They are not simple ghosts, but altered beings sustained and twisted by the same alchemical forces that powered their civilization. Wraiths float through environments, teleporting unpredictably. Their glowing stones emit light that can immobilize Tassi. If caught fully in the light, the player is forced into direct confrontation, temporarily losing movement control. Wraiths strip away agency. Instead of simply chasing you, they manipulate your perception and movement. Their presence represents the remnants of a fallen civilization, intelligence reduced to instability and decay. The Beast. The Beast is a towering humanoid predator with elongated limbs, exposed musculature, and animalistic features. Its design suggests a fusion of human and feral traits, though the game does not explicitly define its biology. It is one of the most physically imposing and systematically complex enemies in the series. The Beast was once a French soldier named Augustin Lambert. He was the protagonist Henri Clement's friend. Before the events of the game, the soldiers drew lots to decide who would go on night patrol. Lambert lost the dice roll and went out alone. During that patrol, he fell into a massive crater that exposed ancient Roman tunnels beneath the battlefield. When he didn't return, Henri went searching for him and found him injured at the bottom of the crater. Henri climbed down, gave Lambert water from his flask, and helped him out. Shortly after, they were ambushed and knocked unconscious by an explosion. Everything we know about what happened next comes from Lambert's letters found throughout the bunker. In them, he describes the water as tasting unusual, almost unnaturally crisp. Soon after drinking it, he began experiencing abnormal strength and gradual physical changes. The transformation was slow, painful, and inevitable. By the time the bunker descended into chaos, Augustin Lambert was no longer human. The Beast operates on a dynamic AI system. It responds to sound, tracks player activity patterns probabilistically, and remains persistently present within the bunker's walls. It does not rely solely on scripted sequences. Noise increases the likelihood of an encounter. Repeated routes become riskier over time. While it can be temporarily repelled with fire or explosives, it cannot be permanently killed. The Beast represents the evolution of Amnesia's design philosophy. Earlier enemies relied heavily on patrol routes and scripted triggers. The Beast creates fear through systems, adaptation, unpredictability, and constant pressure. It doesn't just chase you, it coexists with you in the space, waiting for a mistake.